This is outside of Y Combinator now. There's a company called Pacasso. So not Picasso like the artist, but Pacasso. I don't know if you've seen this one, but this is a startup that in under a year has received $75 million and has grown to a $1 billion value in under a year. In fact, actually, it started in October 2020. So what's that? That is like, 6 months? It's managed to grow to $1 billion in value, which makes me feel a little bitter, actually, I think. That was initially how I felt when I read it. So these guys are two founders of, one of them was one of the founders of Zillow, which is a real estate marketplace in the US, which actually seems to have data on 100 million homes, I read, which is incredible. But that started in 2006 and is now publicly traded and worth $38 billion. So clearly they know what they're doing. But what Pacasso is doing is it's democratizing the second home so that it's not just available to the 1%. That's what they say, which essentially is the reinvention of the timeshare. So essentially, the idea is that Pacasso go and buy the home, they furnish the home, and then they sell shares in it. So, for example, the first property on their website is I can buy a 1/8 of a share in a property in Lake Tahoe, and that gives me the option that I now own 1/8 of it. I'm going to share it with 8 other people, and I could go and book in, and I can go and spend some time in this property. So I think it's a good idea. But why does it make me feel bitter? Well, I think it's a case of money making more money again. It's really difficult to get things off the ground. I mean, the guy who's running this, guy called Spencer Raskoff, he's the CEO. He's clearly very successful. He's now a very wealthy man, and I'm sure he's working hard. And he's also brought on Austin Allison, who seems to be a young, enthusiastic guy at the age of 28. So that's pretty cool that he's brought someone along with him. But it just feels like some of those circles where these startups get created, it feels a little inaccessible. And personally, I blame capitalism for not being a meritocracy. The fallacy that we're sold for the cream rising to the top and all that. So, yeah. But I think it's a pretty cool idea. I do feel a bit bitter about it, about being the whole second home thing. Who needs a second home?
Yeah, it's sort of, we're trying to make it more accessible, but the very thought of owning a second home only comes to those who are very fortunate, who don't have debt, who don't have a worry of money. But I was just reading an article. It's actually pronounced like Picasso, even though it's spelled Pacasso. It's pronounced like Picasso. Okay. Makes money by charging owners 12% fee at the time of purchase, plus $100 a month management fee. And I wonder if that is $100 per investor, because that's essentially what you are as an investor, or it's per property or whatever. But it's definitely an out the box thinking when it comes to this sort of stuff, though, because you really got to know. And stocks and shares are one of those things that I think the majority of people wish they knew more about or understood what vesting is and dividends and all that kind of lot. You've got to know that sort of stuff inside out to then be able to apply it to an industry that had no, history of this kind of, well, I don't know, actually, to be fair. I suppose you can invest in property, invest in real estate and all the rest of it. But to bring it to the everyman and woman, it's quite out-the-box thinking. But you're right. Who is really thinking about a second home in times like these? Like, how have they got to where they are?
How is it worth $1 billion in 6 months?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably worth $1 billion because those who understand business and finances, they're probably seeing this as being, well, I mean, some sort of tax haven, some sort of loophole that they can get around. Probably, I can't help but feel a bit suspicious on that. But they do look like nice guys, they've got a nice smile, so maybe they're not all that bad. I'm just showing a picture of them on the stream.
Yeah, I think it's just a little. It makes me feel a bit awkward. I think that's the thing, and I don't really, I haven't really been able to put my finger on it. I think it is the wealth thing, because it is making it more available, but it does feel a little bit seedy. I think it's kind of in the same way as like they're on the trend, right? You know, you've got things like Airbnb and Uber, where Airbnb don't own any of the homes and Uber don't own any of the taxis, and they've become the biggest things in the world for those particular industries. They're kind of going down that same route, apart from the fact that they actually own the properties.
They actually own the property. It's like McDonald's, WeWork, all those people. They're real estate companies. They're not. You know, they're not whatever it is that they sell or whatever. So they're buying up properties knowing that they can not only make their money back, but actually earn recurring revenue from that property. So it's fishy.